Hey there! If you're deep into your creative iMedia course, you know how important it is to get a solid grip on the foundations of the industry. So today, we're going to jump right in and take a close look at the original giants, the traditional media sectors.
Okay, to get us started, I want you to, just for a second, picture this. No streaming services, no social media, no podcasts you can listen to whenever you want. So how did people get their entertainment and their news? Well, the answer to that is pretty much the definition of what we're going to explore today.
So, before we go any further, we need a really clear, solid definition of what we're actually talking about here.
And it really is as simple as that. We're talking about the industries that were the absolute bedrock of media for decades, long before the first web page overloaded. This definition right here, that's our anchor point for this whole explainer.
So, before I just give you the answers, take a second. Based on that definition, what major industries immediately pop into your head? Think about what your parents or even your grandparents used to get their news and entertainment.
All right, you ready? Let's meet the four big players, the absolute pillars of the traditional media world.
And here they are: film, television, radio, and print. What's so cool about this is how each one kind of owned a different part of our lives, right? You had the huge, epic cinema experience, the TV in the corner of the living room, the radio in the car, and of course, a good book or magazine. For your course, you've really got to know what makes each one of these tick.
So, let's kick things off with the big one, the one that gives us those larger-than-life stories and massive global spectacles, the film industry.
Yep, we're talking about movies, motion pictures, and it's a truly global industry. I mean, just think about it for a second. A single Marvel blockbuster employs thousands of people across multiple continents. You've got visual effects artists in New Zealand, actors in Atlanta. That's the kind of scale we're talking about, from the tiniest indie passion project all the way up to these world-spanning productions.
Okay, now this is where it gets really interesting, because we're talking about the tech behind it all. Originally, movies were physically recorded onto these long strips of celluloid film, but today, almost everything is digital. And that shift from a physical thing to a digital file didn't just change the cameras, it completely turned the industry on its head. It made editing cheaper, special effects way more accessible, and distributing a movie worldwide as easy as uploading a file.
So how does a film actually get made? It's not as simple as someone just yelling action, is it? There's a super clear three-stage process that pretty much every single film goes through. Any ideas what those stages might be? And here they are. This whole journey is broken down perfectly into these three stages. You've got pre-production. That's all your planning, writing scripts, casting actors. Then you hit production. That's the actual filming. And finally, post-production, which is where all the magic happens in the edit. This structure is absolutely essential for managing the huge budgets and massive teams it takes to make a movie.
Okay, let's switch gears a bit. We've talked about the big screen, now let's bring it closer to home. The media that came directly into our houses through our speakers and onto the printed page. Television and radio, they were the original appointment media. Their entire business model was built on that fixed schedule. If your favorite show was on at 8 p.m. on a Tuesday, you had to be there. You miss it, it's gone. This created these massive shared cultural moments where everyone was talking about the same thing the next day, which is something you don't see as much in our on-demand world.
And that brings us to our last major player, the print industry. We're talking about all the physical, published things you could actually pick up and hold in your hands.
And wow, the variety here is just huge, right? You've got everything from those glossy magazines you flip through and books you can get lost in for hours, to a brochure that's trying to sell you something or a cool poster for a concert. Each one has a totally different job to do.
And the whole point is that their physical nature is what makes them work. A poster on the street has to grab your eye instantly. A novel provides hours of entertainment without needing to be plugged in. And a textbook, well, it's designed for you to sit down and really focus. The fact that they're tangible is their superpower.
Okay, so you've got the basics down. You know the players. Now let's take it up a notch and look at the kind of challenge you're going to face when it comes to your exam.
Check this out. This is a classic 8-mark question. Notice the key words here. It's not just asking you to list stuff. It wants you to discuss, to consider, and to really analyze how these industries have changed over time, especially with all the new challenges they're facing today.
All right, this is super important. You have to know how you're being marked. It's not just about what you know. Look here. Yeah, 4 marks are for your knowledge, defining the sectors, talking about the tech. But the other half, the marks that will really boost your grade, they're for your analysis, for applying what you know with real-world examples, and for structuring your argument well.
Just listing facts is only going to get you halfway there. At best, this is exactly what the examiners are looking for.
And that leaves us with this final thought to take away. We know what these industries were, but think about them now. How have these old-school giants managed to adapt to a world of streaming and instant everything? And maybe more importantly, looking forward, who do you think is actually going to survive or even thrive in the next 10 years?